Alrighty, what is up, my painting friends? I hope everybody is staying healthy right now and isn't going too stir crazy in their homes if they're on social distancing mode. For this painting, I would like to show you the painting, how I do it with brushes, and then make the exact same painting using only a palette knife, and then compare the two. So I think that'd be fun. Alright, we're going to use acrylic paint for this. We're going to start with titanium white. I'm just going to throw everything on this little paper palette. We're going to use cerulean blue. We're going to use burnt umber. Payne's gray, which is a dark gray, not quite black. We also have vat orange. We have cadmium yellow. It says cadmium yellow pale, so it's not quite as saturated. And we have yellow green. And ultramarine blue. Yellow ochre. And last but not least, we have crimson, which is a cool red. Alrighty. So we've got our palette set up here on my little paper plate, our 8" by 10" canvas, cup of water, we've got some brushes here, and a paper towel to wipe everything down because I'm super messy. And I think that's it. We're ready to get started. So first I'm going to sketch out the scene, and we're going to start with dipping the brush into the water and then taking some crimson and ultramarine blue. I'm just going to make like a little faded purple here, and it's very thin because I've mixed it in with the water. And about 2/3 of the way up, do a nice straight horizon line, one brush stroke, just like that. And then we're going to have another little line just above the halfway point from top to bottom on the canvas. And we're going to have one more line, which is starting to get, I'm just going to add a little bit of color there. One more line, like right here. A little bit of a wavy line there. Alright, now we can clean off that brush, wipe it down, and I'm going to start actually throwing some color down in the painting with this brush, my medium flat-tipped brush that has a little bit of wear. And this is a sunset beach scene, so we have the sky, the water, and the sand, a little bit of a dune here. We're going to put that, a little bit of a grass growing out of the dune there. So we're going to start with our sky, because that's the farthest thing in the background. I'm going to start at the top of the sky, taking some white mixed with a hint of burnt umber. And we're also going to do a hint of... So you saw I just got that teeny tiny bit. I just let the brush tap it, and now I'm adding it to the white just to add a little bit of color there. And I'm just going to start by going back and forth right at the top. And you want to make sure you're covering all the white on your canvas, so if you need to reblend, you can do that. Tiny bit of burnt umber, tiny bit of crimson. And just go back and forth right at the top. Go back and forth until you've covered about half of the sky and you've gotten all the white off the canvas. Now I'm going to blend a tiny bit of blue into that, a little bit more of that crimson, a little bit more blue, just to cool the top of the sky down. Just a little bit. And I'm doing this while the paint layer below it is still wet, so it's blending in. Giving me a nice color transition. Holding the brush lightly here. Right now we're going to go back to white with a hint of that red and yellow ochre. I'm just blending it right over top of where I was already blending. We're just gonna go back and forth just like we did before. Gonna keep adding more white and blending down and up just to get a good smooth color transition in the sky here. Nice soft blending. This is something that's more difficult to do with the palette knife, so this is going to be looking different. The sky is definitely not going to look the same in this painting as it will in the palette knife painting. There I just added yellow ochre with white, and I'm blending that up into the existing sky that's on the canvas. Now I'm going to take some orange and some yellow and add those to that little mixture. I'm going to add way more yellow than orange and some white. I'm just going to start right at the bottom where I had paint. Get a nice straight line on the canvas, and I'm going to take the excess paint off of the brush and go back and forth, blending that up nice and softly. Alright, now we can start to add some real bold color here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of orange and a lot of bit of yellow. So I got that nice vivid orange, and we're just going to go right over top of that layer we just put down, basically coming down to that horizon line. Take the excess paint off your brush once you got it covered up, and then you're just going to blend it back up. You don't want to have too much paint on your brush or it's not going to blend. It's going to end up overpowering the colors that you already have on your canvas. So that's looking nice. Nice sunset there. Alright, now we can add some crimson with cerulean blue and white. Add some more crimson, and that's going to be our nice color at the horizon line here. Just going to go right at the horizon line. And then I'm going to take some yellow ochre and I'm going to put that over top of what we just did, just kind of covering up those little white spaces. Take the excess paint off your brush and just blend. Nice and soft. There we go. Alright, that's looking nice. Alright, now we are going to let that... Actually, you know what? Let's do a little more yellow mixed with our orange. And I'm just going to throw some of that right here and build up that saturation around the sunset. Just very, very lightly holding this canvas. Or sorry, very, very lightly holding the brush. Alright, and I'm going to let that dry for a bit, and then we'll come back to that in a little bit. You know what? Alright, fine. One more little dab of just pure yellow. I'm just going to put that right here and go back and forth so it blends up into the sky a little bit there. Okay, there we go. Now we're good. Alright, now let's work on the water. So for the water, we're going to mix ultramarine blue with our crimson red, and I'm going to mix some cerulean blue in there too, and a little bit of white. And then it's looking kind of gray, so I'm going to take a little more red and a little bit more blue. And now we're going to carefully, right at the edge, get a nice straight line. So I'm holding the brush not this way. If I hold it this way, my line's going to look like this. If I hold it this way, I get a nice thin line. So that's how I'm holding the brush. And I'm very gently holding the brush on the canvas. I'm not pressing too hard. And I'm just going back and forth, evenly covering the canvas and trying to get a nice straight line for the horizon line between the water and the sky. Make sure you don't leave any white space here where you didn't put paint down. You want to have all the white space covered. It's close enough. All right, great. So next we're gonna take some white and just mix that in with that golden color, add a hint of that cerulean blue. Whoa, too much cerulean blue. If that happens, then just start a new color blending spot. And we're gonna take some yellow ochre, blend that in, take a little bit of that blue too. And now I'm just gonna go back and forth and cover up the whole section where I have water. Right up to that color that I just put down at the horizon line. And what we're gonna do is blend up into that horizon line color. So take the excess paint off your brush, and we're just gonna blend it right up in there. So what the color of this water is it's reflecting the sunset a little bit, but it's the angle that the sun is at and the angle that this photo was taken. It almost makes the water like a yellow ochre plus blue turns into like an off green color. And just start to throw some of those colors in the water. Some yellow mixed with a tiny bit of orange. Because it's a really strong orange. And we can start to add a little bit more color right here in the water. We also have some waves in the water, and for that I'm gonna take the cerulean blue, mix with a little bit of crimson, a little ultramarine, and a little Payne's gray. I'm gonna dip my brush in the water so I get nice thin down paint there. So it's like a cool gray blue, and this is gonna be like our wave line here. It's not perfect, least straight. It's gonna have a little bit of a wave in the wave. A little bit of a wavy line. Take some more Payne's gray. Gray there. These waves are more prominent in the shallow water here, and they become really faint as they're getting farther back. Now I'm going to take some orange, blend it in with that blue color that I made earlier. Add a little bit of crimson, and we're just gonna throw that nice soft muted color right here. And we start to have some sand. Just put some white right here. Just blending in with the colors in my brush. I'm gonna take a little ultramarine blue. Blend that in to my sand. We have a little bit of warm glow on the sand. So I'm going to take my yellow ochre with a little bit of orange. Just put that right here. Just to warm up the sand right there. And then we're going to take more ultramarine blue and white. Some of that cerulean blue, and that'll give us that cooler blue sand color we have here. And make sure you have all the white covered again on your canvas. Alright, and then we're going to take cerulean blue and white and some ultramarine blue. We've got a nice deep shadow in the sand here, so it's really cool. We've even got like a little bit of purple here, so I'm gonna mix my ultramarine blue with my crimson. It's gonna give me that purple color right there. And then we're gonna take lots of this cerulean blue and build up the shadow here. Anytime you want to blend, just hold your brush very lightly, take the excess paint off, and start to go back and forth until you get a nice little blend. Alright, and we got a little bit of a highlight here, but it's still cool, so I'm going to take some white right there. Just going to throw this here. I'm not blending this as smoothly because we have a little bit of texture in the sand here. So I'm going to get a little bit of that texture. Take some more white right here. We've got a little bit of a highlight too. Just holding the brush so it's giving me a little bit of texture. Then we're going to take some of our burnt umber, our Payne's gray, and our ultramarine blue. And we're going to do some little shadows here. Since we had a highlight, we got to throw in some shadows behind it. A little bit more brown. I'm holding my brush at like a diagonal angle to give myself a little textured look here. And in the foreground we have that, what is the yellow ochre mixed with the blue. Gonna blend that in a little. Add a little texture, mixing my blue and my brown. Have those little ripples, wave ripple in the sand from either the wind or the waves. Probably from the wind here. Alright, and now we're going to let this bottom half of the painting dry a little more, and we're going to work on our sun some. So we're going to take our fine brush, round-tipped brush, and we're going to start with some white. I'm just going to throw some clouds in the sky here. So I have some paint on this brush, but it's not super overloaded, and I'm just kind of adding some streaks in the sky here to give us some nice, some nice clouds up in the sky. Now I'm starting to take the excess paint off my brush and let it blend just a little bit. You want your clouds to still have form, but you don't want them to be a hard line. You want them to brush into the other colors in the sky. Just a little bit there. Alright, looks nice. And now let's work on our sun. So we are going to take some more orange, mix with yellow, lots and lots of yellow. So I can take a little more orange here. And we're going to build up that nice color right around the sun. Try to be careful not to get this color into the water, or you're going to have to touch that up a little bit later. Alright, that was just a little bit of yellow ochre that I'm blending in. Oops. Holding the brush pretty lightly. Some white and a hint of ochre, blending that down to get a smoother transition of color there. Alright, now I'm just taking some yellow, putting it right here on top of the orange layer, letting it blend. Holding the brush very softly. Now we're going to mix yellow with white. Make sure you don't have any orange in your yellow here. You want to be just yellow and white. Just throw a little sun here. And then you can take some yellow, just kind of go right around that and very gently let that blend out just a little bit. You want to soften up your edges. You don't want to have a super hard circle, and you don't want to have it be so blended that it, you know, you can't really tell where the sun ends. And then you'll just take a pure white and put that in the center of the sun there. A nice sunset there. Alright, so we're going to take our yellow mixed with white, and we're going to do the reflection of the sun on the water. So I'm just holding the brush very gently and letting it go from left to right and picking it up until we get to the shore line there. And then we take some white and we put that right over top. We can even brighten up other parts of the water too. I'm going to lighten this up just a tad. Just to add some little highlights here, just to brighten up the water. Alright, that looks much better. We can take some white, mix with a hint of yellow, and just really brighten up that line where the water's going to meet the shore. And then we're going to have a little bit of a highlight, like a little bit of a wave here that caught some pink from the sun. Whoops, got blue mixed in there. Take some crimson mixed with white and a little bit of that orange-red color. Some Payne's Gray, mix that in there. And I'm just gonna build that shadow up a little bit more. Alright, now we're ready to do our grasses. So I'm going to start with the highlight color since the light source is behind us, and I'm just going to blend my sap green with that yellow and orange that I already had over there. And we're just going to start by putting some little blades of grass here. So I'm just holding the brush at an angle that's going to give me a nice steady line. And if you dip the brush in the water, you can get an even more accurate line. And you don't want to make these all facing straight up. You don't want to make them all facing exactly the same direction. Looking good. Now we'll take some Payne's Gray, that green, ultramarine blue. That's gonna give me that dark green and basically fill in the space that would be in front of the blades of grass, because that's where we have a big shadow cast. And then I'm gonna dip my brush in the water and do a couple of blades. Take more Payne's Gray, a little bit of brown, and some more blue. Just build up that shadow some more here. Take some white, blue, ultramarine blue, and ultramarine blue and the cerulean blue. And we're just gonna touch up the spot right in front of the grasses there. Have the cerulean blue and some white. Build a little highlight back up here. Some Payne's Gray, some ultramarine blue. I'm gonna build up this, oh, maybe I want some brown too. And we'll just build up this base again. Just gonna take some more brown. Alrighty, and let's call that a finished painting. So this one's all done with using the brushes. Now I'm going to do this exact same painting, but I'm going to only use palette knife. So this is the only palette knife that I brought with me, and it's a rounded tipped one. They have some that are a little bit pointier, so I'm not sure if I'll have as much manageability, so I'm definitely not expecting this to look as realistic as that one. And I'm also definitely not as experienced with a palette knife as I am with a paintbrush. I have done many palette knife paintings, but it's definitely not my expertise and not my preference. So if the palette knife painting looks like garbage, then that is why. Let's start with the sky again. I'm going to take some white. I'm just going to blend it on the canvas here, covering up all that white with more white. And then I'm going to add a hint of my crimson color. Just kind of blend that right on the canvas. Looking good. Take a tiny bit of blue. Actually, let's do that sky blue color. Add some of that at the top. Get the excess off of the brush, or off of the palette knife. Just blend that. Start to pull that down. And I'm going to take some ochre. Let's do some white first. And a little bit of ochre. Start to pull that down. Pull that up again. Take the excess off of the palette knife there. So you can blend it up. And we can take some more white. Do that there. I feel like I'm definitely going to go through more white while I'm doing this palette knife painting. Just going to blend that back and forth. Add some yellow to that. Lots of yellow. Ooh, that's a nice color. And we'll take some yellow on top of that orange. Let that blend up. Then we'll take some more magenta, or my crimson color. Put a little bit there, and a little bit of cerulean. Blend that a little. Take some more yellow. Take some more yellow for right around here. And now here's a nice thing about palette knife painting is that I can just dab the sun color right on top there. I don't even really need to let it dry first. Gonna do that orange right there. Let that blend out a bit. That. Just throw that white right there. Let that blend in just a bit. Alright, looks pretty nice. Alright, now we can take our ultramarine with our crimson and some white. And blending that on. Take some of the cerulean bullet too. And I'm blending that right on the nice little palette I made there. And I'm just gonna take this and go down just like that. Alright, take some more white, just blend that up. I'm going to take some yellow ochre with white, a hint of that cerulean, then we'll get the ocean. Ochre. Red. Let's blend them on the sides. I can take some more yellow. Orange. It's going to build this up a little bit more with white. I'll warm that up a bit. There we go. Now we can take our white and orange and do this. Pull this out on both sides. comes up the center a little more again. And do our little... Just holding the brush, I keep calling it a brush. I'm holding the palette knife at an angle here and just getting those reflections of the light. Kind of blend them a little bit. There we go. The deep part of the water and start to do a little bit of a shadow here at the shore. A little bit of Payne's gray in there. Then we can do a couple little ripples in the water here too. Alright, now for the sand, I'm gonna mix white, a little bit of yellow ochre, and our crimson. Let's go right up to that shoreline there. Definitely using way more white paint in this palette knife painting. I'm just using way more paint in general. Just gonna blend that in with my cooler colors here. Just trying to get nice even coverage. Covering up all the white. Ochre in there, warm it up. Then we can take some of our cerulean blue. Just work on those shadows that we're seeing in the sand a little bit. Nice and light right there. Then we're going to mix some cerulean blue with white and some ultramarine blue over here. And blend a little bit, and we'll just kind of pull that color down by adding some white and then blending it. Got a little bit of yellow ochre that got in there at the bottom, just warming the sand back up a bit. Blue again. Ooh! And we'll just put that right here. Build up those shadows. Start to kind of work on that texture. Now I'm just holding the palette knife super flat and seeing if I can just pull this around and give me a little bit of a textured look in the sand here. Okay, and then here, some more ultramarine. There's some shadows. Now for the fun part, we have to do the blades of grass. So I'm going to blend my yellow with my yellow green, some white and some yellow ochre. That's going to give me that nice highlight green again. I'm just going to take palette knife and let it kind of hold it at an angle. I guess down here we can do full flat part of the brush, but here we gotta get like an angle. Alright, that's nice. Now we can use our shadow color. Add some more blues there, a green, Payne's gray. Let's give us a nice dark green. Just gonna do the same thing. Hold it at an angle. And then you can even remove some of the paint like by scratching it, which is kind of cool. It gives you like a little bit of an effect that there's more grass blades there. That's nice. Take some brown. Just throw some brown in there. And we'll just touch up this spot right here again. Let's darken this a bit here. Alrighty, and let's call that a finished painting for that one. So, pretty nice. I think they turned out nice. You know what, I would say that the reflection on the water almost looks more realistic in the palette knife because of this little, those sharp lines that I was able to achieve with the palette knife. So let's do a side-by-side comparison here. Okay guys, here is the side-by-side comparison of the two completed paintings. So this was the paintbrush painting, and this was the palette knife painting, in case you can't tell. I personally like the paintbrush one better. That could also be because I'm, more comfortable with the paintbrushes than I am with the palette knife. But it all comes down to your personal preference. I'm sure that many of you actually like this one more. Let me know in the comments, by the way, which one you do like more, because I'm interested in finding out information like that. But anyway, so comparing the two, I used a little more red in the sky in this one, it looks like, so we can see that the sky is a little warmer up here. And it doesn't mean that this is inaccurate, it just, what is inaccurate is that we get a warm pink glow here, but we don't get that pink in the sky. So that's something that I would have changed in that piece there, whereas in this one we have more of the same colors in the sky in the sand. Another difference between these two is the sun itself. So the sun here has a much softer look, which is more like how you would perceive the sunset in nature. This one's a little choppier, and that could just be because palette knives are tough to blend, and could be because I didn't add quite as much of that yellow glow right around it. The sun also looks a little bit bigger in this one, but that's also not an issue. I think the reflection of the light on the water, though, is pretty nice on this one because it's not soft. It's that crisp line, which is how you would perceive that in nature. So I think I do like the reflection of that white from the sun on the water more in this one. The color of the water, I think, isn't too bad. This one is a little bit warmer, which makes a little more sense. I think this reads more like this is water, this is sand. In this painting, I think it's a little bit more difficult to tell that this is water and this is sand, because with a palette knife I have a more difficult time getting different textures, whereas here I could do more solid line, smooth water textures here, and then in the sand I could use my brush to manipulate the paint to make it look a little bit like there's a texture, like a granular look in the sand. So I think that's another difference between the two. The blades of grass, I did like that I could scratch and get these nice little spots here that make it look like I have some more thin blades of grass popping out, Here, if I were to use an even finer brush, like a liner brush, I could have achieved a more detailed look with finer blades of grass to make it more realistic, but I didn't use that brush here. I was trying to, for time's sake, just use the same brushes that I already had. So there's a couple things I liked in both of these pieces here. In general, the color scheme is the same. You know, I was using the same colors that I had used for the paintbrush painting in the palette knife painting. I just didn't blend exactly the same for the sky color. I'm pretty happy with both. I have been wanting to do a video like this for a long time. I just haven't had the time to do it. And now that we're all sitting in quarantine, I have time to do fun stuff like this. So let me know what you guys thought, and if you like one painting more than the other, and why. I want to know why as well. If you have any other ideas for future painting lessons, leave a comment for me below, and I will see if I can get to that sometime soon. Thanks and happy painting. Bye bye.